What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. I hope you guys are ready because this is the Hellfire Gala of 2023, the biggest Krakoan event of the year. At last year's gala, we saw the terraforming of Mars. Mars being turned into a habitable planet now known as Krakoa. And the expectations for this year's gala are just as high. Or at least, that's how mutantkind would want it to go. But their enemies have been at the gates. From Genesis to Orcus. From Mother Righteous to Dr. Stasis. Anti-mutant sentiment has never been higher. As we go over the next 78 pages, Krakoa is about to be changed forever, because the fall has begun. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright guys, the big day is finally upon us. Now this story is starting us off a couple weeks ago. We have Emma Frost and Cyclops currently having a discussion about Miss Marvel. It was recently discovered that she was a mutant. Cerebro uncovered that she had an X gene in her body, laying dormant because the Inhuman came first. She became Inhuman before her X gene could activate. As they discuss the future of Miss Marvel, we pick up in present day with her resurrection, with Miss Marvel just recently dying. The funeral was had, but with Cerebro uncovering that she is in fact a mutant, resurrection was the obvious choice, with Charles Xavier being the one to greet her, to inform her and let her know what is going on. There's also Hope and the Five, doing their best to explain all of this to her, how the process works, how she won't remember her death, everything in between. While this discussion is ongoing, we have the arrival of Scott and Emma. And with everybody getting the greetings out of the way, what we are seeing is that both Scott and Emma, they want to use Miss Marvel. They want her to come to the Hellfire Gala. They want her to stand front and center and let the world know that she is a mutant. They are hoping that this is going to help with public relations. But with Miss Marvel being a little bit uncomfortable with this situation, not really sure if she wants to come out as a mutant just yet, this is where Jumbo arrives. He pulls out his tape and he starts preparing to get Miss Marvel her gown for the Hellfire Gala. This is what takes us over to the lighthouse, to the Hellfire Gala of 2023, with the lovely 5-in-1 giving the introductions to everybody. She welcomes everybody to the island, and that the theme of this year's party is friendship and futurism, a dialogue, an opportunity for friends, ambassadors, and honored guests alike to understand Krakoan medicine better, to build on standing relationships and make their place in the world a better one. Not only that, but there will be the election of the new X-Men team. And it's said tonight, Forge is going to reveal some technology, his latest gift, something that will help solve the housing shortage and food insecurities that plague the most in need. He wants to create the city of tomorrow. Now this is the moment where we have to revert back to Free Comic Book Day, with the arrival of Jean and Scott. They listen to the whole speech, but this is when they get interrupted. The alarms are going off at the treehouse. We don't know who is responsible, but someone has stolen the Captain Krakoa suit. And so with Scott taking off, we have the arrival of Juggernaut, wanting to thank everybody personally for everything that they've done. And Jean lets him know that they are choosing a new X-Men team, that he has been on the path to redemption for quite some time. They're gonna need a powerhouse. Who better to fill that spot than Kane? Now this is what takes us to a conversation between Charles and Miss Marvel. Charles coming over, taking off his helmet and having a discussion with her, talking about her new mutant ability. Now we don't know what her power is just yet. It is yet to manifest itself, show itself for what it is to be. But more than anything, he recognizes that Miss Marvel, she's struggling a little bit. This whole situation makes her a little uncomfortable. And it's not that she's ungrateful. There's just so much going on already inside of her life she's a little concerned on how this, on top of everything else, is going to affect it. This is the part where Charles goes on to explain that her X gene, it never got the chance to fully kick in. That the mist hit her, making her inhuman before it could manifest. And we know what that mist can do to mutant genes. It could be possible that she never manifests any powers at all. But with that conversation coming to a close, we have Rasputin 4 and Miss Marvel having a conversation. And Rasputin 4 is saying that Miss Marvel is her hero. She knows the stories of Miss Marvel, the Inhuman, the Muslim, the mutant, the human, and the savior of all the tribes. It appears that Miss Marvel has one heck of a future set for her. Even if that is the sinister timeline, there's obviously great expectation. And as the night continues on, we see a conversation between Sam, Captain America, and Prodigy. Because recently we have seen that Kingpin has made his way to Krakoa, granted asylum through marriage. And while Sam's not happy about it in the slightest bit, there's an incident that takes place in DC. The Avengers waste no time and they head out. But while they all go to make their escape, this is where Rogue, she gets an emergency frequency, an urgent message that Captain America is in the need of help, that he has activated his distress beacon. With Rogue not wasting 1 second, we see her take off through a gateway. With all of the commotion going on, this is where Jean Grey telepathically talks to everybody at the gala. Because it is that time of the year. It is time for the new X-Men team to be voted in. More than that, Jean and Scott are stepping down and taking their place as the captains. That will be none other than Synch and Talon. And so everybody votes. Juggernaut's name, with Jean's backing, gets thrown into the pot. And this is where we get the introduction of our new X-Men team. The 2023 X-Men team is made up of Talon, Synch, Prodigy, Cannonball, Frenzy, Dazzler, Jubilee, and the Juggernaut. And this team, given the opportunity, they probably would have been an outstanding X-Men team. So much potential, so much opportunity. Unfortunately, this is the moment where everything changes. Because Nimrod, avoiding detection by orbiting the Earth and descending from the thermosphere at thermal velocity, he was able to break through completely undetected. He came down from there, and he came down like a rod of God. Every single person at the Hellfire Gala would have been dead in that moment had it not been for Jean Grey absorbing the blast. Using her telekinesis, she is able to grab hold of some of this force. She is able to blunt the shockwave. But in doing so, her and Juggernaut, they fly out of the building. And Nimrod has his way with the X-Men. Bloodied, battered, and beaten, he continues to smash their face in. He crushes their bones. He completely annihilates them. With Magic going to try and get the 5 out of here. She goes to teleport them to a safe location, but her teleportation does not work. The nanotechnology has made its way into her body. It has inhibited her X gene. There is no escape from this ambush. That's when the one and only Bobby, Omega level Iceman, not wasting a single second, he comes charging in. He starts throwing a beat down onto Nimrod. And for a brief second, it looks like Bobby might actually have the upper hand. But Nimrod came prepared. A red glowing rod jammed right into Bobby's chest. Orchis had planned. They had drilled. They executed the false flag attack in DC and the assassination attempt of Captain America. They were dividing and conquering. And while success would only be measured in corpses, first, they had to take out the Omegas. Nimrod giving credit to Bobby, saying that he didn't think anybody could ever ring his bell like he just did. But this game is over. This is where we see Bobby melt into a puddle of water. Nothing left over, simply bone and water. With one Omega off the board, Nimrod goes for Omega 1, the designation that Orchis has given them. With Jean Grey showing up, we see Juggernaut used as a bullet, with Jean Grey hurling the Juggernaut directly at Nimrod. It is a direct hit, and we see Nimrod go flying. While the Juggernaut goes to face Nimrod, Jean Grey doing her best to coordinate the defenses, but the rest of Orchis were inbound, and that also means Stark Sentinels, all of them. Now this is where we have the arrival of Karima and Dr. Stasis, as they stroll in the gateway, dancing their way right into this gala. Charles lets him know that he is going to pay. But Dr. Stasis really wants him to see what he has accomplished, telling him, go ahead and peep into my mind. This is where Charles gets to see that the medicine, it has been tampered with. The pharmaceuticals, they have all had a kill switch backdoor this whole time, with MODOK showing up through the gateway as well. He presses a button and all of the humans that are on Krakoan medicine, they begin to freak out. And if that wasn't enough, Orchis didn't just hack Krakoan medicine. Thanks to horticulture, they were able to break the gateways. This is where we see the Orchis shock troopers dropping in. Every single mutant doing everything they can to hold them off. Kitty Pryde phasing right through the head of a sentinel, making it crash down to the ground. Kingpin trying to go for Mary, but with him getting beat down, he lets them know that they will all pay for this. Exodus and the Five, they start doing their thing, holding back all the forces the best they can. For a moment, it looked like mutants might manage to turn this around. With Rasputin 4 protecting Miss Marvel, we see Rasputin 4 take on one of these Stark Sentinels all by herself. With her smashing that thing into the ground, we pick up with Juggernaut, trying to go toe-to-toe with Nimrod. When Nimrod blasts him, we see him shot back. This is when Jean Grey stops everything. She spoke to the minds of everybody. She swore that nobody would die more tonight, apologizing to the guests and letting everyone in Orchis know that this is all a bad incident, that you trespassed against us and you chose violence. But she is asking them to let those thoughts go, and they might survive to see the dawn. And while it looks like this was the end of everything, it takes a lot of careful planning to kill a telepath. But Moira X, she has everything she needs. Patience, time, and an artificial mind that is immune to telepathy. With Moira sneaking up behind Jean Grey, we see that Jean is pierced right through the chest. Elsewhere, we are seeing the demise of Cyclops, the treehouse on fire, telling Jean that he walked into a trap, but confused on why he can't feel her anymore. At this point, Moira X is absolutely losing it like a psychopath, telling Charles to look at me, to look what I have done. Look what has happened to the one that you love the most. The dagger clothed in Blightswill, and the sight of Jean Grey being struck down. This decimates a bomb in the children of Adam. Every mutant launches themselves into war. Victory would be assured. But this is where Moira puts a knife up to the throat of Charles Xavier. She tells him to stop them. To stop them, or every human that has taken Krakoan medicine, they will feel MODOK's button. And so Charles stops all of them. He takes off his helmet. He drops to his knees. And he surrenders. The terms of the surrender are this, as Dr. Stasis tells him that all Krakoans, all mutants, it is time for them to leave. That this is cancer surgery, and mutantkind is the cancer. Dr. Stasis is telling him to make them walk, every single one of them, walk them through the gateways. And if a mutant ever decides that they are to return, they will kill a human, and then 10, and then continuing on with the powers of 10, however much it takes for them to understand that mutants are no longer welcome. While this is all ongoing, we have Jean Grey who has communications with Firestar, letting Firestar know that she is dying and Orchis has won. Right now, they need to think about the bigger play. What Jean wants to do is embed Firestar into the memory of Orcus, to open a door into his mind. She thought about simply erasing his mind altogether, but she came to recruit Firestar, to be their inside man. All hope right now is lost, and everyone will certainly believe that you are a traitor. But right now, it may be one of their only options to stay afloat. And so she agrees. With this happening, we see Charles Xavier tell all of the X-Men to leave. Now, most of the mutants, they are leaving through the gateways. There are the select few that have the red triangle defense strategy. And so those individuals, those are being taken by force. No one is left behind. No one is staying. As this happens, we pick up with Mother Righteous. As she walks through a gateway, we're not certain on where she lands, but not a single soul alive knew that she had stolen away and trapped Krakoan's Atlantic Island in her lantern, and no one knows why. But the mass migration continues. Some are going kicking and screaming, some mutants fighting back, but every single one of them are going. Picking up in the back of an ambulance, we have Scott, battered and beaten. The love of his life comes to him. She says that I loved you, begging her not to go, saying that he needs her, that he loves her. But she must go on, and she goes to whisper to Logan, telling him to wake up, that they almost lost all of it tonight. But the fight is not over, that she loved him as well. And now she needs Wolverine to do what he does best for her. As Jean's life had faded away, the Berserker awoke. Logan, surrounded by the best special forces in Orcus's ranks, he massacres all of them, with Exodus taking the Five by force, pushing them through a gateway. Dr. Stasis, MODOK, Moira X, they sit and enjoy their victory, but they still find themselves surrounded by a lot of mutants, all of them whispering resist. Moira goes to finish them off, and that is when Emma Frost gives the order, telling everybody to wake up, to grab Lourdes and prepare to teleport, with knives being thrown, heads being cracked, and guns being shot. The likes of Emma Frost, Bishop, Angel, Psylocke, Katie Pryde, they are all teleported out of here, underneath in the basement of the New York City Hellfire Club. With them is also Wilson Fisk. But this is where Emma Frost sees that Lourdes, she took some heavy damage, revealing gunshot wounds all over her chest. She saved all of them, and it cost her life. As we pick up with Nimrod dragging the body of the Juggernaut with him, saying that he didn't enjoy beating in his brains, but maybe he did just a little. Nimrod wondering why Firestar may be here. This is where Dr. Stasis goes on to say that she has been a double agent the entire time. And now that Orcus is going full-time, so is she. Now, as Emma Frost and everyone else make their way through the Hellfire Club, a while back Emma Frost had put gateways down here, ones going all over the world, giving them the opportunity to travel instantly anywhere. With Emma planning to give everybody left on the island a stroke, a lethal one. Any Orcus that may still be standing, she plans to take out. But as she goes to walk through the gateway, her face smashes into it. All of the gateways are closed. They cannot use them for anything. This is where we pick up with Charles and Moira X, with Moira going on and saying that she has been dreaming about this day, that everything that has happened is his fault. Tonight will forever be known as the Mutant Massacre, that they sold lace medicine, invited Nathaniel Essex onto the island, and he almost ended all life on Earth. The dream is dead, and humanity will cheer as they hunt and capture and kill every single mutant. But this is where Charles says that he is ready, and coming exploding out of the ground and ripping Moira to pieces, we have Rogue, grabbing hold of Charles and getting out of here, but not without saying that she recognized Firestar is here, that she better sleep with the lights on. As they take off and try to get out of here as quickly as possible, Charles stops. He scans, and he sees nothing. He begs to be taken back to the island, because they are all gone. Everyone who walked through the gateway, they were meant to go to Araco, but he can no longer reach them. Not a single one of them. All of them are gone. All of them are dead. Rogue in disbelief. There were 250,000 mutants on Krakoa, that there's no way they can all be dead. In a fit of anger, in sadness, tears coming down his face, Charles knows that he is responsible. He made everybody walk through the gates. He didn't know that they did something to them. He pushed them into the meat grinder, begging her to leave him alone, to go avenge them and avenge Krakoa, with Krakoa now having a population of 1. And that will be the end of this issue. So, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. That was one heck of a long comic, but man, did so much go on. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna talk about Miss Marvel. Now, you guys know I'm not a big fan of Miss Marvel. I don't like her as a character. I'm not interested in her. If there's those out there that do like her, more power to you. Buy her comics, read them. I salute you. But they're simply not for me. The fact that Miss Marvel is being pushed really to this point like she's on a pedestal. Like if she ends up being the savior of all mutant kind, I'm not gonna stop reading these comics, but man, that would be disappointing. And it really seems like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make Miss Marvel some super important factor in all of mutant kind. As if she's not just some mutant. I'm not sure yet if we're gonna be covering her solo comics where she comes out as a mutant, so on and so forth. But we'll see. Now, for those of you wondering why Storm is not here, they are already in the midst of their civil war. There was a little bit of dialogue in here talking about how the civil war has already kicked off, that there are rumors of it already happening. This is obviously true. We saw that Storm was teleported somewhere. We saw this in the pages of X-Men Red issue number 13. But we have no idea where. So there still is an Omega out there. We still got Emma Frost. Nightcrawler is still out there somewhere. Wolverine has gone full berserker. So there are still pockets of resistance. While everybody on Krakoa may have died, there is still Araco. They may be going through civil war, but that is a planet of mutants. I think this is about what I expected to happen though. Nimrod coming in, Dr. Stasis, Moira X. I didn't think Genesis or anything else was going to have too much to do with what is ongoing. I'm sure that that'll have its place as we move forward. But the civil war with Araco, that was really just meant for Araco not to show up. To let this go down and there not be any reinforcements. If they're having civil war, they can't come save them. But I didn't see any of the members of X-Force, which means Kid Omega still may be in play. But right now, I think he's still Old Man Omega, so we'll have to see how that plays out as well. So while they did definitely take some people off the board, Jean Grey, Bobby, these individuals being taken out, these are heavy blows. But I think Orcus is focusing too much on the Omega levels. Yes, those may be the biggest threat, but if anything, our X-Men have shown us time and time again that it's not about being an Omega. It is about the will to survive. Captain America reforming Unity. Scarlet Witch still very much in play. This may be their biggest and baddest moment, their most devastating of moments. The fall of X truly has begun. But mutant kind, they are far from defeated. So let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with this series, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you are unable to do that, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.